You're now listening to the Jca Sports Podcast on Spotify and Anchor. To the Jca Sports.
What's good, everybody? What's up? And welcome to the Jca Sports Podcast. Alongside my co-host Eric Avila, my name is Jose Contreras, aka Tony Football. You see it on the screen. And we welcome you guys to another exciting episode of the Jca Sports Podcast. Jonathan Pelayo will be in the comments. He's not with us today. He's grinding hard at work, and we're going to be here entertaining you guys. We have a great show for you today. But first and foremost, what to do, Eric?
What up, man? What's going on, Tony Nobody?
Tony, nobody. Wow. Fresh off the soccer podcast. I heard you, man. I heard you.
Fresh off, man. The World Cup coverage is slowly coming to an end.
It really is, but it's been entertaining. It's been
definitely been entertaining. It's funny too, and it's going to be a topic of conversation on Sunday or either Saturday or Sunday, depending on which one I want to give. But how it all started beforehand. The question marks, the corruption, and all that, too. Actually, the tournament hasn't really been that bad, minus a few referee scandals, but you're going to get that throughout every league anyways. Right. But it's been an entertaining World Cup for sure.
No, absolutely. We're not here to talk soccer, though. You know, if you guys want to listen to any type of soccer content, our boy Eric here has the EAFB podcast, and he's going live every single day. You know, Eric, I say we weren't going to talk soccer, but here I am talking soccer. But we have a final. We have Argentina and France. Who do you got? Give us a snippet of who you think can take it all. Do you think France could repeat? Or do you think this is Messi's time to shine and to prove for once and for all that he's the GOAT? The GOAT!
GOAT! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT! No, I'm not going to give you my prediction just yet, right? I'm going to save that one for Saturday so you guys can watch me on Saturday just so I can give out my prediction. Right, I did. Funny enough, like I mentioned in the podcast, I did pick this final literally before the tournament started, right? And then I feel bad for myself and kicking myself in the butt simply because I called it and I didn't bet on it for this to happen. But it is what it is. I also did say Argentina can win it all. But given the two teams, where they at and how they started the tournament and where they are in today's game, I will give a complete breakdown on Saturday, and then I will see if my winner changes or is still the same in Argentina.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys tune in Saturday to hear Eric's pick and just to get all your soccer coverage. That's the man you want to talk to right there. For sure. Right. All right. Down to business. Let's talk some football. My name's not Tony Football for just no reason.
No, there's definitely no reason why your name is Tony Football. Like no reason whatsoever.
We're gonna talk football. And here at the Jca Sports Podcast, we go above and beyond Chicago. We just don't talk Chicago. We're gonna talk Bears. Don't get me wrong, but we go even further. And Eric, I was at work the other day, right? And it's 3 a.m. I have some dead time. I'm on Twitter, right? And I come across a question, and this happened. This is last Friday, so this happened literally after. No. This is Tuesday. So this happened after the Monday night game between, or was it Monday the Sunday night game? When did the Chargers and Dolphins play? They played Sunday night, didn't that? Yeah, they played Sunday night. Yeah. It was Monday morning. I'm sorry. It was Monday morning, and I come across this tweet that got me questioning. Right, it's like, if you had to redraft in 2020, would you take Tua or would you take Justin Herbert? Now, oddly enough, I look at the 2020 draft, and they were literally a pick apart. The Miami Dolphins took Tua Tagovailoa 5th. And the Chargers took Justin Herbert 6th in that very same draft. So I'm like, you know what? This is a good question. Question I want to ask you. Question I want to ask everybody on the comments. And that's right. If you guys want to participate or interact with us, Eric's gonna put the link on the bio or in the comments. I mean, make sure to click it, and you're able to. If you're able to share, definitely do that. But if you're able to turn on your mic and your camera, you could be on here with us. If not, just interact with us in the comments, and we'll make sure to put your comment up. Okay. So first question I have for you and for everybody watching, right? 2020, you have the number 5 pick, Miami Dolphins. Are you still taking Tua Tagovailoa, Eric, or are you taking Justin Herbert with what you know today?
With what I know today, the better talented quarterback is easy and by far Justin Herbert. I think he's shown it with the Chargers, even though they haven't made a playoff run, I guess you can say, or even made it to the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. Um, you could tell that the talent level is there. Tua struggled to right off the gate to get in there. Now he has the weapons, and he's looking a lot better than obviously when he first came into the league. But from the get go, you've seen Justin Herbert, and Justin Herbert was just a different breed in totality. He changed that Chargers franchise for a bit, even though they still haven't made it to the playoffs. But you could tell that that's the guy that you can lean on and take your team, or can help you take your team to the playoffs. It just sucks that injuries, for some reason, just injuries keeps creeping up on this team. But to go back to your question, yeah, I'll definitely take Justin Herbert over Tua, and that's not even a question, neither nor a debate.
Okay. So that's your answer. Justin Herbert over
Justin
Tua
Herbert.
Tagovailoa. I would have to agree with you. And the reason being is for everything you just said, Justin Herbert is just a different breed. He has the height, he has the size, he has the accuracy. This year has been an anomaly year for him and that Chargers team. I just think they're injured, and that's the reason why they've been struggling. At the same time, I would give Tua Tagovailoa his props. Like you're seeing what this guy is able to do with the talent around him. But I agree, man. I think this is an easy answer. I think you take Justin Herbert. No doubt about it. Why do you think Miami took Tua over Justin Herbert? Was it just the fact that he came from a high profile school?
That's one. I always get it confused. Who's the one that benched two in the national title game? Was it Tua for Hurts or Hurts for Tua?
I think it was
I
both.
always get that confused for some odd reason. But even then, so the Alabama quarterbacks. I mean, you saw some flashes in Tua in college that made you believe, right, under the dual threat that Tua brought. And I guess that's the direction that the Dolphins went, anyways. Was that dual threat ability of Tua Tagovailoa, and having that as a passer and a runner. I mean, that's just my best guess, right, on the reason why they went over him. But I mean, Alabama quarterbacks don't succeed in the NFL. This is the first time in a very long time since I can remember that Jalen Hurts and Tua have been, so far successful this season coming from the Alabama system. So, yeah, that's just my guess, just the dual threat ability from Tua over Justin Herbert, who Justin Herbert can run too a little bit.
Right. So that was an easier question, right? That was I think everybody and their mama are going to pick Justin Herbert. I think that's just a given. I'm going to make it a little bit harder for you, right? In that very same draft, Joe Burrow was taken number 1. Now again, same question, but this time we're adding Joe Burrow. Number 1 pick, Cincinnati Bengals. Are you still taking Joe Burrow, or knowing what you know now between these 3 quarterbacks, Justin Herbert or Tua Tagovailoa?
I don't think that's that. I don't think it got harder. I think it's a lot more easier. I think Joe Cool, Joe Burr, Burrow, Joe Shiesty, whatever the nicknames that we've all came up with him so far in these podcasts. You could just tell that dude, talk about different breed, right? I think Justin Herbert can compete with him for that number 1 spot, but definitely Joe Burrow. I mean, he did it in LSU. He went undefeated that year. He won a national title with LSU the year that he came out. I mean, there was a reason why he came out that year and was the baller. And then it was unfortunate that he tore his ACL his first season. But you see what he did last year in the second year. So definitely, it's not that hard. It's still Joe Burrow number 1.
So you're taking Joe Burrow number 1. I don't know. I think it is a bit tougher. I think knowing what you know now about Justin Herbert, you look at that draft just a little bit differently. I agree. Joe Burrow is still Joe Burrow. He's still Joe Cool, right? And he had way more success so far in his career, both college and in the pros, than Justin Herbert. Now, I don't like. Do you think Justin Herbert will have similar success if he was on the Cincinnati Bengals? Do you think he's able to take the Bengals to the Super Bowl last year?
No. Simple. No, I don't think so. I think what Joe Burrow did with the Cincinnati Bengals, I think it was just one of those reasons that it just fit throughout the whole entire season. They drafted his wide receiver, right? The one that he won the national title with in LSU with Jamar Chase. You see the connection right there. They didn't miss a beat the moment that they came together in the NFL. So it's like Joe Burrow will probably be the only quarterback to do what he did outside the other two.
We have Jonathan Palayo in the comments. Eric, you want to
Hey,
break
Johnny P, Johnny Parlay, Johnny No Show. He said, "What's up, fellas?" He said, "Give me Herbert. He actually throws the ball accurately."
And
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. I think this is a lot. I think this conversation is tougher than we think. You know, if you're saying Herbert over Tua, that's easy. Herbert all day. But if you're saying Herbert over Burrow, I might be inclined to go there with you. Look, I'm just as big as Joe Burrow fan as everybody. You guys both know that, right?
I mean, you're a fan of everybody. You go around like nobody, easily. You just go around and just musical chairs.
I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Burrow went fifth instead of first if the Bengals knew what Justin Herbert was. With that being said, I will still pick Joe Burrow, believe it or not. Joe Burrow's my guy. That's who I would go with as number one pick, and that was easy peasy. Jonathan said I was answering the question in the comments. Didn't mention Burrow. Okay, I get that, John. Between Burrow and Herbert, who you taking number one overall? Make sure you guys spam in the comments. Let us know who you're taking. Listen to the Jca Sports Podcast, and we are redrafting 2020 with what we know today. This is the redraft section. We're going QBs first, and we're redrafting. What we knew today, what are we doing in the 2020 draft? In 2020 draft, Joe Burrow went number one. I think we're going to stay number one with Joe Burrow. What we switched up was Tua Tagovailoa went fifth, and Herbert went sixth in that same draft. And I think you got to go with Herbert with the number 5 pick for sure. All right, Eric, here's a little bit tougher conversation. Let's go wide receivers. Let me name you the wide receivers that were in, and there's a lot of them. All right, in this draft, let's go to the first round before we do that. Joe, he says Burrow goes first because he's taking his team to the Super Bowl. I agree. Year before that, he went to a national championship game with the LSU, so I agree 100%. All right, the Raiders took the Raiders took the first. Oh, that's true. Josh Allen was in that draft class, wasn't he?
He was. Was he?
No.
I think
Josh Allen? There's no way. Josh Allen wasn't in that draft, was he?
I don't think Josh Allen was in that draft.
Hold on, we're gonna do this real quick.
We got it. Let's go because if it was,
that's different. Hold on,
got a lot more interesting.
There's no way I missed Josh Allen when I was looking at this draft. I see.
Wow, the failure in you right now, Jose. Tony football.
Hold on now.
2020 NFL draft. Let me see
It
what we
wasn't-
got. Because
he wasn't in the first round. But did he drop?
I don't think so. I don't think that he was.
I don't think he was in that draft. I don't think he was in that draft either. I would have definitely added him. There's no way. No, I'm saying, why are we talking QBs drafted later? Check out Josh Allen. Oh yeah. We'll get that in the next week. Right now we're doing
the 2020 draft alone.
2020 draft. The 2020 draft alone right now. But I get what John.
I get
what
John's
he's saying
going
is that
on. Man,
throw me off, John. I'm like, damn. Did I fail us right now? You have me literally guessing.
For real.
Guessing. All right.
Sorry, I apologize for the Tony football comment. John over here.
Right. I have Tony football. Okay. Anyways, all right. 2020 first round draft. The Raiders took the first wide receiver on the board in Ruggs, right? In Henry Ruggs at number 12. I think we all, if we were the Raiders, we would choose differently, knowing what we know now, right?
Right. Definitely.
So let me name the list of these wide receivers, and Eric, and I want you to tell me who you would take first, second, third, and foremost. Okay. So first was Ruggs at 12 with the Raiders. Jerry Jeudy was 15 to the Broncos. All right. You had CeeDee Lamb 17 to the Cowboys. Rhaegar at 21 to the Philadelphia Eagles. Justin Jefferson, 22 to the Minnesota Vikings. Brandon Ayuk
Good.
at 25 to the 49ers. And I want to add these two from the second round. T. Higgins, who went 33rd, and Michael Pittman, who went 34th. Knowing what you know now, if you're the Raiders at 12, who are you taking?
It's easy. Justin Jefferson's, and that's not even close, bro. Like you've seen what he has with a mediocre quarterback and Kirk Cousins, and how he's tearing up the league and defenses and stuff like that. I mean, Justin Jefferson is just above everybody else in this one, right? And I'm not saying the gap is marginal, but the gap is pretty big, um, between Justin Jefferson and the one that's second in this wide receiver group. But yeah, if I were the Raiders, I think Justin Jefferson would probably be on my list now.
Can you imagine Justin Jefferson and Devontae Adams? Because Devontae Adams went via free agency, right?
He
It
did.
wasn't like it was traded. Can you imagine that double, those two right there in Vegas?
Just imagine this lineup in general, right? You have Josh Jacobs as your running back. Not only that, imagine if you had Waller healthy, along with Jefferson and Devontae Adams. Whew.
Dude, it's crazy. The Raiders will be a whole different team.
And they'll still be kind of the worst teams in the AFC West if it wasn't for the Broncos and their quarterback situation.
Absolutely not. Absolutely. Jonathan's in the comments saying, imagine if the Bears took any of those guys after Ruggs. We'll get there. We'll get to the Bears.
The year that we didn't have a first round pick, right?
No. We'll get there. That's another question right now. But we'll
Okay.
get there. Okay. But right now we're in the first and third round. I mean, second round right now. Okay. All right. You took Jefferson. Who will you take if you're the Broncos? 15. Will you keep Judy? You have CeeDee Lamb. You have Rhaegar. You have Ayuk. You have Higgins and Pittman. Who will you take it with that 15 pick?
I just from production standpoint, right? And again, the second best wide receiver in my eyes in this draft is CeeDee Lamb. I think I would switch it up. CeeDee Lamb is probably coming off second in the wide receiver group in this one. Again, and then the gap between 2 and 3 is now it gets a little bit significant after that because the talent pool is.
No, yeah, I agree. If you're CeeDee Lamb, you're definitely a lot happier that you didn't go to the Broncos because
yeah. Ooh, that situation over there is just ugly.
It's a dumpster fire right now, man. All right,
that's just being nice.
We don't have to go through the whole list, but let's just who are you taking third? If you're the Cowboys, right? You don't have Jefferson or Lamb on there. Give me another one. You have Ayuk, Higgins, Pittman, or Rhaegar, or Judy.
See, I don't want to say that Pittman has been a one-hit wonder, right? Off of 1 year, what he got with Carson Wentz, right? Judy, it's hard to evaluate Judy simply because of what the situation the Broncos have been. Rhaegar, I think he got traded, if I'm not mistaken. He went he went from Philly to Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. And then the next one after that is Brandon Ayuk. Now, at least Brandon Ayuk has some type of success with the 49ers and the wide receiving core. But the number 3 one, again, Michael Pittman Jr. has shown flashes that he can be that guy, right? Just given the right quarterback. Now, his quarterback in Dallas would be Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
So maybe just in that aspect, right? Just because of those scenarios, I think I would go Michael Pittman Jr. third. But it's close between him and Ayuk, to be honest with you.
Don't sleep on Judy. Right now, I get what you're saying that it's hard to evaluate Judy because given who his quarterback and what that situation been in Denver.
No, for sure.
But he's been a catalyst on that team, even with Russell Wilson, even with that offense not being as high scoring. That man is producing, and he is fast. I mean, he's been hurt, right? But when he plays, man, the kid is fast, and he is legit. I mean, imagine him on Dallas with someone like Dak Prescott throwing the ball to him. I think he could be the third best wide receiver in this draft class.
I don't know about that.
I do. Judy was.
I know speed's one thing, but I mean, it just even though the speed, even though he has the speed, you could just tell even with the speed that he has, it's still hard for him to have that separation with that speed that he has. I don't know if it's just going to take a year for them to get comfortable with each other. I don't know what the case may be. Maybe it was the coach, but at the moment, again, the third best wide receiver is close between those 3. I guess you could put it that way, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Judy, still a wild card.
Well, I'm gonna pull up Judy's stats real
You
quick.
go, you go right ahead. But and John's out here in the comments too as well. He said Judy and Russ will bounce back next year. He said Judy was a dog in college, so don't sleep. Which is, I mean, it's true. And then Michael Pittman did same. And they didn't have the outstanding numbers that Judy did, but you could tell with a decent quarterback in his system, Michael Pittman Jr. He did it with Carson Wentz, and he looked like a top wide receiver in with that team, and he was the number one wide receiver with the Colts too as well. So with Dak Prescott and Michael Pittman Jr., if I was the Cowboys and redrafting this, I would go with Michael Pittman Jr. over Judy.
Judy had all 3 touchdowns for the Broncos this last week against the Chiefs, and all 3. The man has 6 touchdowns, and this is because he's been hurt, right? He's been injured this season, but he's had 6 touchdowns so far, 587 yards. So I do get the skepticism, right, when it comes to him. But that offense has just been, like as you mentioned, Eric, it's been a dumpster fire this entire season.
I mean, yeah, it just hasn't been. Yeah, it just hasn't been the same. We don't understand the Broncos situation. There's a lot of here and there with that, but it's just weird. I mean, the wide receiving core in Denver is not that bad. You have Sutton on one side, Judy on the other. But for whatever reason it hasn't worked out, I'm not sure. I mean, I'll even give you Pittman stats for the year 2 as well, and then we could just go over it. Jeez, if I could find it.
Well, let me give you Brandon Ayuk, right? Now, I said Judy had 587 yards with 6 touchdowns. Ayuk has 755 yards and 7 touchdowns. So not much, just 200 yards and 2 touchdowns more than Judy does, and a much more explosive offense in San Francisco.
Yeah, while Pittman has 76 receptions for 755 and 2 touchdowns.
Wow. I think I'm taking Judy. I think I'm sticking with Judy because you got to see who is going where. You have Judy, who has almost the same production as Ayuk, a little bit more touchdowns but less, like 200 less yards with Denver than Pittman does, and you put him in a much better offense.
Right, but this is also a Michael Pittman Jr. year in where his quarterback situation isn't that consistent as it was last year with Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz at least had to play a majority of the season last year. He's going around with quarterbacks this year with Matt Ryan, and I don't even know who's their second or who's their other quarterback in Indianapolis. So, but based off last year and the year that Pittman had, Pittman had a better year than Jerry Jeudy. So, given the better quarterback, I'll go Pittman Jr.
Once again, the question is, we know Justin Jefferson. Given if we had a redraft for the 2020 year, Justin Jefferson is the first wide receiver to go. CeeDee Lamb will be the second. We're asking, who would you take third? Jared Jeudy, Michael Pittman Jr., or Brandon Ayuk?
Eric, those are probably like the ones where you can compete for the top 3, and then I don't think you would be wrong in choosing either of those 3. It's just a better selection of who do you want. John in the comments says Old Russ would have Judy looking like DJ Metcalf in Seattle with Russ, but we know he means DK. He says, I think we could say Pittman has the worst quarterback of them all this year, which is true. The QB carousel that he has with Indy, with Matt Ryan, and I don't even know who's their backup. I can't even tell you right now with a straight face who it is, but I know it's not good. Let's just put it like this. I drafted Michael Pittman Jr. one in my fantasy football leagues, and I probably traded him like in week 3. So that says a lot.
I have him in one of my leagues where I made the playoffs. So, but I'm debating if I should start him or not. So we'll see. All right, down to the nitty-gritty. Here's a fun topic for us, Eric. Same draft class, but this is the Bears, who didn't have, as you mentioned, did not have a first-round pick, but they had a second-round pick, right? They had 2 second-round picks in this draft. They picked 43 and 50. At 43, they picked Cole Kmet, and at 50, Jalen Johnson. Here are the names they left on the board. Now, I want to ask you, and everybody who's watching, if you're the Chicago Bears, knowing what you know now, would you keep Cole Kmet and Jalen Johnson in the second round, or would you pick these names up? They left on the board Chase Claypool, wide receiver, who we have now, by the way. Trayvon Diggs, cornerback from the Dallas Cowboys. Jalen Hurts, quarterback from the Philadelphia Eagles, and Van Jefferson, wide receiver of the Los Angeles Rams. Those are the notable picks that I've seen that they left on that draft class in that draft board in the second round. So I'm asking you, Eric, 43, are you still riding with Cole Kmet, or are you getting either Clay Poole, Trayvon Diggs, Jalen Hurts, or Van Jefferson?
Wow, no J.K. Dobbins, no Cam Akers,
No.
no A.J. Dillon.
I was thinking about putting those names on there, but I think that's easy. You're not taking any of those guys over Cole Kmet. J.K. Dobbins cannot stay healthy to save his life.
This is true.
Why would you take A.J. Dillon if you have the David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert?
This is true.
Right? So it's like
all right, 2020. That was Mitch's last year, wasn't it?
Yes.
Mitch's last year, right? That was probably Bears probably worst season under Matt Nagy, so on and so forth, right? I mean, we still got him in a trade, right? I mean, I know it's different. We keep a pick if we drafted Chase Claypool from the very beginning, right? Or whatever the case may be, cool. But no, I think I would replace Cole Kmet as much as he's been improved this year so far, and I've had him in most of my fantasy leagues, and when I have him, he's been doing great. And he's finally had turned that corner from a very blah 2 years. But even then, so when you have Trayvon Diggs, who's been excellent in Dallas, and literally CB1 over there with that team, imagine him and Jalen Johnson on the same team, right? I think that would probably be your secondary would probably be more legit than it is now today. And you don't really have to fix it as much that you have to do for this upcoming season. You already have your two cornerbacks settled for the next 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And I know you risk on not having Cole Kmet. Hell, maybe even Cole Kmet might have been right there in the third round, or knowing Ryan Pace, he probably would have traded up in the second round to get him or whatnot, right? But yeah, I think I would sacrifice Cole Kmet for Trayvon Diggs easily.
I agree. I think you would sacrifice Cole Kmet for Trayvon Diggs. But do you think Trayvon Diggs will still be part of this team? You had someone like Roquan Smith, who was a pillar on that defense, who should have been somebody that you could move forward with. Do you think Trayvon Diggs, if we did draft him over Cole Kmet, do you think he would last, or do you think he would have been a piece that Ryan Poles would have traded away for picks this season like he did with Roquan Smith?
Hell no, man. I mean, with Trayvon Diggs, the Trayvon Diggs that we see now in Dallas, you honestly think that's tradable? I mean, yeah, right. You're going to get your highest value off of him, right? It being your star study. But you got a guy who is in his, third year in the NFL and is balling like the way you do. You keep that guy. And I get it. And it's a different position. Remember, it's a different position. Cornerback is valued more higher than the linebacker position, especially the linebacker position that Roquan Smith is playing in. So, no, I think Trayvon would be safe here because you legit probably have a shutdown number one cornerback in this league if you drafted Trayvon Diggs over Cole Kmet.
Jalen Hurts was a quarterback we did not mention when we first started the show. We said, who would you take, number 5, Herbert or Tua? Do you throw Jalen Hurts in that conversation? Knowing what you know now, would you take him in the first round, whether it's number 1 with the Bengals, or 5 with the Miami Dolphins, or number 6 with the Chargers?
I think, and that's a real good question. That's a real tough one because you've seen Jalen Hurts do more with less and became more successful. I mean, last year he had Devonta Smith and they ended up making the playoffs. Now this year you give him AJ Brown and he's an MVP type caliber player. But man, that's a real good question. I
think you take him 6. I think if you're gonna go Joe Burrow first, and then Justin Herbert 5th with the Dolphins, I think the Chargers knowing what they know now, I think you take Jalen Hurts there at the Chargers.
You take Jalen Hurts to the Chargers? Yeah, I think so too. I think he wouldn't even make it all the way down to the second round.
No, I don't believe so either.
I mean, we go into the comments here, and CP says, "What up, CP? CP?
Long time no see. I haven't seen
for
CP
real, man. We miss you.
Hop on, CP. We miss you.
I miss you, CP." Right. He said Jalen Hurts would have felt miserably under Bears management anyways, which is true. I mean, given the team that was directed. John says, "Give me Diggs instead of Kmet." I think we all agree in there. He said, I keep Monty over all of those running backs. My bad. Well, yeah, true. Diggs and Jalen Johnson from John says together would have been would have been decent. CP goes and says, I know it sounds crazy. I'm not mad, and I still got faith in Komet and Johnson. I do too. I do too. Maybe if you had Diggs, Komet and Diggs, maybe it would have been a little bit more better, but I agree too. CP says, I just want to say, John calling my fantasy football team ass at the start of the year. Yeah, I made the playoffs and he didn't. I'm assuming this is the JCA, the JCA Fantasy Football League. Oh, I did bad on that one. The defending champ. There's going to be a new champ this year because I did.
None of us made the playoffs. None of the JCA guys made the playoffs. None of us.
Nah. John says if we got Diggs, Roquan will still be here. I don't think so. I do not think so. I think the plan for Ryan Poles, if he was here, I think the plan would be trade Roquan Smith at the end of the day.
I don't think so, Eric. Huh? I agree with that. I actually agree with that.
Yeah, because remember how the season started. Let's take a step back. I was upset when it first happened. Yes, I'm not gonna lie, I was, right. But if you take 3 steps back, right, and you realize what happened throughout the whole what happened before the season even started, he wanted to get paid. I mean, he held in. Right, he was still at training camp. He didn't practice. He didn't do this because of the contract negotiation. Then he decided to come back. But even if we did have Diggs and Roquan was still here, I still think he still would have been traded, to be honest, because they weren't going to pay Roquan premium price for him just to stay. So
I think he would have stayed. I honestly think if we had Diggs, the defense looks way different with Jalen Johnson. Yeah. With Brisker, with the guys that we have now, with Jack Sanborn, I think this defense looks a lot different.
Question. Now I know we're talking about this, but how different were the Bears' defense would be intact with this Nagy team? How different would that defense would have been with the players like Hicks still on there, Khalil Mack, Roquan, and everybody else with Diggs on there?
Yeah, we can't forget this was 2020 when it was still Nagy's team with all the guys you just mentioned. That's a really good point. It's a really good point.
Yeah, I mean the defense. Was still top 10-ish, right? I know it was already towards its back end, but you add a player like Diggs and what he's been producing in Dallas. You add this on this team, whether if it's Jalen Johnson or Cole Kmet or Jalen and Stephon Diggs. Imagine having those 2 cornerbacks in your system along with that defensive front and Eddie Jackson. I mean, whatever he went through, but just having those 2 secondary players to help him out a little bit, it could have been different.
Yeah, I seriously, I'm glad it didn't happen though. I mean, I think regardless of the fact he would have got fired. I think regardless of the fact he would have got fired, simply because Justin Fields wouldn't have been Justin Fields under Matt Nagy. Well, the Justin Fields that we are seeing now, we would not have seen that under Matt Nagy.
No, definitely not.
So. He would have been gone regardless. Our defense, though, I think a lot of the guys would have been gone, but I think it would look a lot different. Those cornerstones and Jalen Johnson and Diggs and Roquan Smith, those are the guys Poles would have kept. You can't
even say Roquan was a cornerstone anymore since he's not here.
I get it, but I'm just saying, but he was a great player that was traded because of all the holes that we needed filled.
You put a guy like Diggs in. I get you. Okay.
You get what I'm saying? You put a guy like Diggs there, and the defense looks a little bit better. A lot
for sure.
You listen to the Jca Sports Podcast. Before we get into the comments, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Star 6 Media. Follow us on every single one of our platforms because we have every single type of show, sports content for you. If you're an MMA guy, a soccer guy, hockey, football, basketball, you name it, we have a plethora of podcasts that you guys would love. Just follow Star 6 Media on all our socials, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and of course Facebook. Back into the Facebook comments, Eric. What do we got?
CP says no. I'm feeling this is Hurts, right? He said I will not take him in the first round. Put Herbert and Burrow there, and they will also go crazy in Philly. Just with the well managed franchise lately. So yeah, I think he'll put Jalen Hurts up there too as well.
All right. Is it crazy to say that if you're the Chicago Bears, this is before Justin Fields was drafted, you take Jalen Hurts, knowing what you know now? If the Bears knew what Jalen Hurts is now, I wouldn't be surprised if they take Jalen Hurts because that was the year they knew they were getting rid of Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
So you take Jalen Hurts, then we don't have Justin Fields. Who would you rather have today, Eric? Knowing what you know now, Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields. And how apropos is this? Because these two quarterbacks are going to face each other this Sunday.
It's funny, right? It's funny you say that because it's true. I remember. I think I back in 2020, I did say that Jalen Hurts. I just wanted a different quarterback, and I felt like Jalen Hurts was going to be there for the Bears in the taking in the second round, right? I didn't pay attention to the line on the first day, just pay attention to the line on the second day simply because the Bears were going to get 2 in the second. But I did say Jalen Hurts was that guy. How different would it be? I think it would still probably be the same situation, except that I feel that we will have 2 years of Jalen Hurts under Matt Nagy instead of 1 year in Justin Fields with Matt Nagy and then a whole different offense, right? It may or may not have been different. I'm not 100% sure. But how badly structured that team was, and I think the year before that, wasn't that the year that the Bears went to the playoffs too, as well, the year before that when they lost to the Saints in 2019?
Yeah, 2019 was the year the Bears went to playoffs, lost to the Saints.
So yeah, I don't know. I'd rather take Fields now. I feel the ceiling is higher more on Fields than it is on Hurts, even though Hurts is playing on an MVP level simply because of what he has around him. But I do feel, and maybe this is my bias of me being a Chicago Bears fan, but I do feel that Justin Fields' ceiling is way more higher than the peak of what we have of Jalen Hurts today.
But can you really say it's a peak when we're barely seeing what Jalen Hurts can become?
Right.
I don't think he's at his ceiling yet. I really don't, because the Eagles now finally are putting pieces around him. We've seen what this guy can become, and they're first place. He's been playing decent, if not great, football for the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're one of the favorites to even win it all this season.
He's an MVP favorite too, as well, for a reason, right? But
I think this conversation is it should get a lot deeper than. It's a lot harder
than it's attended to. You're absolutely right, because I remember last year, and I just said it before too. Last year, he took a less talented Philadelphia Eagles to the playoffs. You just added AJ Brown this year, and now it's taking him to a whole nother level. I think now the real question is, can it be consistent after this year? And I think that conversation will shift a little bit depending if he repeats or if he sunks. And that's the real question after next year, because next year, they don't have a first round draft pick, but they will still have a great team intact with a great offensive line. Obviously, the wide receiver core is still great. The running back of Miles Sanders has been amazing so far this year. The running game has been great for the Philadelphia Eagles, which has helped Jalen Hurts immensely in that team. So, it's a good question, man, but I don't know. Again, it's probably the bias in me in Justin Fields. I feel like Justin Fields has a higher ceiling than Jalen Hurts, and if Jalen Hurts comes out as the MVP, then oof.
I'm telling you, man, it's a harder conversation. I think you're right. It's biasness in us. It's because we're here in Chicago, because we've been longing for a quarterback our entire lives, and now here we have Justin Fields. And he can do no wrong. He's like the Messiah. You know what I mean? But to be honest, it's like, if Jalen Hurts was on this team, if we had Jalen Hurts, we would be just as happy.
Yeah.
I think because he's also a dual threat quarterback. If anything, Jalen Hurts is a better passer right now than Justin Fields is. I truly believe that. Go ahead in the comments, right? We have CP who's
we'll go in the comments. CP said he'll take Fields all day. Right, I feel like, again, the biasness in all of us in here right now, but he also did say that Fields has the potential to be a legit dual threat quarterback, not just a threat with his legs, but also a beautiful pocket passer, depending on the team that's built around him.
So does Jalen Hurts.
Right, I believe if Fields was in Philly, he'd be doing the same type of things too, which is great, which is true too. And then it would have been nice to have a good quarterback in our childhood. I got tired of getting to school depressed on Monday mornings. You and I both too as well. Hell, we had Sexy Rexy being our starter for the Bears in the Super Bowl against the Colts. This is 15, 16 years ago now.
Yeah.
So, you're right. But again, it just depends on what the Bears would have done. Look how hard it's been for the Bears now to struggling to find the talent around Justin Fields now. We had to trade for Chase Claypool, who we're just talking about in this 2020 draft, that the Bears could have had the opportunity to draft instead of Cole Kmet, right? They're still trying to figure it out. But then again, you put it at this perspective: who did the Bears have in this offense in the year that he came out? Matt Nagy's still here. Who's still here at this time?
We had Allen Robinson. Darnell Mooney was still there. Man, that was that 2021 year. That 2020 year.
David Montgomery's still there.
I think Darnell Mooney is when you really got to see who he was.
And absolutely, sorry, I had a cough, man. I didn't want to put it over
so,
here. You're absolutely right.
I would take instead of Kmet and Johnson. I think I would go Diggs. I think I would go Jalen Hurts and Trayvon Diggs. And I don't think Bears fans will be mad at that.
No.
How can you be?
No, I don't think the Bears would be. I don't think any Bears fans would be mad at that either. I think, but see, it's tricky. You say that though because look on what management that would have been under. It would have been Pace and Nagy. Like would you have believed in them a little bit more if they had those two type of players? Would they still even be here? That's the real question after that. They would be gone, right? Because that offense sucks. Right.
They would be gone. I would draft, like I said, Jalen Hurts and Trayvon Diggs because you grab the best players. Knowing what you know now, you're grabbing the best players in that draft. We won't need Justin Fields the year after. So we could, when we do the 21 draft, the 2021 draft, we can see who are we able to get instead, right? But you know what? Let's do it now. Fuck it. I want to see if we ever got Justin Fields. If we got Jalen Hurts.
If we would have gotten Jalen Hurts in 2020, who would we got in 2021?
Yeah.
Would the Bears still have made that push to trade up to get him? Bro, I think what they went up from 20 to 11 to get Justin Fields.
I don't think so.
I don't think they would have even moved up a lot. I mean, CP goes in the comments and says, I'm not spilling any tears for Diggs would have still been around. Pace would definitely screw the Hurts experiment up. I mean,
Eric, Eric. Can I tell you? Can I tell you? If I'm the Bears, knowing what I know now, I'm getting Jalen Hurts. I'm taking Trayvon Diggs, and you know who went after Justin Fields? Micah Parsons.
Yeah, but remember, you still got to remember that the Bears had to trade up to get to 20 to 11.
Right.
The Bears went to the playoffs that year, so
to 11. You're right. So they don't move. They don't go to. They don't.
So who knows if they make that move? It's basically you have to see from 20 on up.
All right. So
I mean, realistically, right? Because the
Najee
only
Harris,
reason why the Bears made that move was to get Justin Fields at that point.
You have Najee Harris. You have Travis Etienne, Rashad Bateman. And that's pretty much there's really nothing afterwards that really stands out, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, if you had Diggs and remember, the trade only happens from 20 to 11 just to get Justin Fields. That we got to remember that. Would the Bears would have made any moves? Probably not. Who were they drafted? Would they stay put at 20? And that's the real. And then you probably will have to see from 20 on out, realistically, on what the Bears would have got. I think CP says, well, you would have been okay with taking Parsons, Jose. We have to see the overall experiment on what happened. Remember, the Bears didn't draft 11.
If you have Jalen Hurts, what do you need Justin Fields for?
Right. But again, it would have been if we had Diggs and Hurts at that time with the 2021 draft pick, first round, we don't know if we move up to 11. We only moved up to 11 to get Justin Fields, so we wouldn't know who we would have gotten. That's why I said from 20 on back would probably have been a better realistic on who we would have drafted from what we know now.
If you trade,
what Jose said, it was
where did they trade for Justin Fields? Was it just picks? Right? I don't think we traded any players.
It was their first, their third, and another pick.
So then, if you trade that away to get Michael Parsons, I would do it. And think about it. Imagine if we had Diggs, Parsons. You would keep Khalil Mack. You would keep Roquan Smith. You wouldn't. Those guys wouldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, Hicks would have been there, but
Yeah,
I
dude,
mean,
that's oof, that defense.
but that would have been a necessary move for the Bears to do, and that's the big what if question. Like, would have that been necessary for the Bears to do to trade that amount of draft picks? That's not even a quarterback.
I get it.
That's just a linebacker
Yeah.
who, I mean, obviously he's a beast now, but yeah, that's tough. And CP says, "Oh, if we had Hurts, of course, but no quarterback, you got to take Fields." But y'all talking about what's in the past. I'm focused on the future. I mean, yeah, this is just a fun little
This
thing
is
that we're
just a fun
doing.
segment, CP. We're doing a 2020 redraft. If we had to redraft the whole in 2020 year, knowing what we know now, what will we do this? So it's a fun segment. Right now the Bears are on a bye week. We know what their future hides. They're not going to win this week against the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to lose a lot more games this season. Next season is next season. We're having fun. What would you do if you had to redraft the 2020 draft? Maybe we'll do 2021 maybe next week or whenever, right? But like, again, it's just a fun conversation. Right? But you guys listen to the
Very fun.
JCA Sports Podcast. Bears and Eagles, Eric. I know you guys talked about it Monday at Big League Chicago. Um, I didn't catch who you have winning though. Who do you have winning that game?
Oh, I got the Eagles by like 14, bro.
Damn.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a 21 to like 35 type score, 36, whatever the score, whatever 14 after 21 is. It's gonna be the score, 21-35. Um, I need Justin Fields to have a big game because my fantasy football team relies on it on the playoffs that I have, and I have them on 3 playoff teams, right?
Right.
But regardless of the fact, we saw the progress of Justin Fields not only be a runner but a passer too, right? I think the Packers game gave us a great clarity that Justin Fields can be a passer too. Can he rely a lot on the other players around him too as well? We've seen him make throws that that what was the one who what was it Peterman, no, not Peterman, Simeon, Trevor
Yeah.
Simeon did throw those tight window passes to his receivers. Well, we saw that against the Packers when he came back, right? We saw those type of throws that we want him to see. So now we have to put it into a complete package of him doing both running and throwing. We saw him grab more confidence in his team. I don't think it's going to be this big of a blowout at 31-14. I think the Bears are going to make it a lot more closer than what we think. I think the Eagles probably at the tail end will put this game out when, like just like normal. But I think it's going to be a lot closer for all 3 quarters. So because remember, the last time that the Bears had a mini bye, it was probably their best game performance throughout the whole entire year against the New England Patriots on the road. So
Yeah.
now you're having a bye week at home. You're going to see something completely different, and I think we're going to see a lot more confident Bears offense and defense. It is what it is because it's going to be a field day for these Philadelphia Eagles against this Bears defense.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna give CP credit here because this is actually a really good segue to the next segment. He said he wants to focus on the future. Let's focus on the future, Eric. In the next 5 years, it's the next segment. In the next 5 years, we're sticking in the NFL here. I have 5 questions for you. Number 1, who wins the Super Bowl? This goes for every single team. Number 2, who's going to be a contender? Number 3, which team will produce an MVP? 4, which team will be an average team in the next 5 years still? And number 5, which team will still be bad? So let's focus on number 1. Let's focus on number 5. Out of all the teams that are bad today this year, right? In the next 5 years, which team do you think will still be a bad team?
The Jets.
The Jets aren't a bad team this season. They're actually in
No,
the
but it's the
playoffs.
Jets. Given the quarterback situation, not having a quarterback can bring them back a few years. As a bad team, the Jets.
Really? I agree with. I think I'm
the
more inclined to-
Cardinals, especially now after the Murray injury, right?
Yeah.
And then given their situation, what's going on, I think the Cardinals is up there. The Texans are still up there. Here's my wild card. I'm gonna give you a wild card team, and maybe I'm not going that outrageous, right? But this is my wild card team who might be bad in the next 5 years. The Los Angeles Rams.
Really?
And now the only reason why I'm saying the Los Angeles Rams, look what they've given, look what they've given up, their future assets and picks for these players to win the Super Bowl, and now they're having a down year. By the way, their first round pick is going to be in the top 5, and it's not even going to them. It's going to, who is it going to? It's going to. I just read this the other day. Jeez, who did they trade for them not to get their first round pick? But they don't have a first round pick this year. That's all I'm trying to say, right? That's the topic of the conversation. So you have an aging Matt Stafford, an aging Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, who probably may or not look the same again. And you have Cooper Kupp, who's hurt. I mean, there's going to be a lot of holes for this team to fill with no draft picks. I'm just saying.
It's going to the Lions.
The Lions have been surprised. The one thing that surprised me about the Lions in the 6-game winning streak is that it looks like they can possibly have sustainable success.
Yeah, well, no. What I'm saying is that draft pick is going to the Lions.
Oh, the draft pick is going to the Lions. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's going to the Lions. Okay, so there you go. The Lions are going to have a top 5 pick, and they have 2 picks this year. And I think they have one in the top 15, 2 in the top 15.
Yep.
So Stafford for the picks. Okay, cool. Yeah. So again,
I get what you're saying.
This is my wild card team.
To me, it's the Texans. I don't see the Texans getting any better. They're going to have a number 1 pick this season, but how many number 1 picks have they had in their entire franchise? The team is always bad. Even when Deshaun Watson was on this team was bad. They were always a top 10 draft pick. They weren't good. They have nobody on this team right now other than Dameon Pierce that shows me they're going to improve. They will have to get a quarterback this season. Hopefully,
with Deshaun Watson though, they did make the playoffs back-to-back years,
but he's not there. And I'm sorry, but I don't see anybody on this team that's going to help them move forward.
This is true. No, you're absolutely right.
I think in the next 5 years, the Texans are still going to be a bad team. But I would give you credit on the Rams pick. I think you might be on something with on that one.
Yeah, that's my wild card pick, and I don't know if I'll ruffle some feathers, but I'm definitely for sure that the Rams are going to be in crisis mode. And then when that happens, when that quote unquote shit hits the fan, that's when McVay is going to leave. Everybody's going to leave, and they really have to start rebuilding from all over again. So it's kind of like,
All right. Which team will be an average team? It could be a good team that's today that you see just falling off and being an average team in 5 years, or a bad team that just slightly improves.
That's a good question.
I'll go first. Let me go first in this one.
Go ahead.
I think an average team is going to be the Denver Broncos. I don't think they get better. I think they're an average team now, but I think they stay an average team. I don't think Russell Wilson's going to get any better. I don't believe in Russell Wilson. I think in 5 years he's not even going to be a Denver Bronco, and the Broncos are just starting over. I can see them being an average team. That's my pick. I don't believe Russell Wilson in that team. I think he's not old Russell Wilson. I don't think we're going to see old Russell Wilson going forward. So my pick is the Denver Broncos.
All right, I'm gonna give you one for sure and one wild card. I think that's what I'm gonna do from here on out. I think the next average team will probably be the Seattle Seahawks as an average team.
Really?
Even though they're having success so far this year, first year with Geno Smith and Pete Carroll, how much longer of Pete Carroll we're going to have, and when are they going to make that turn into the future? I mean, yes, they have players. Tyler Lockett's getting all their they still got DK Metcalf. I mean, they got Kenneth Walker as their running back, so they have sustainable success for players to come up for the next upcoming years. But how long is that gonna wait? In the NFC West, that can be wide open depending on the 49ers situation and the Cardinals situation. And the Rams situation, right? The Seahawks has that division up for grabs for the next years to come. But I think they'll be the team that will make the playoffs but get eliminated in the first round, which makes them pretty average from there. Wild card, Jose, you're probably not going to like this one, but I think the Bengals might be an average team seeing how competitive that AFC is. It just looking at them now, yes, they have the star power in Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and the running game and stuff like that, but this team still hasn't found a way to take that next step. You're still going to choose the Chiefs over them. You're still going to choose the Bengals over them. I mean, not the Bengals. I'm sorry. You're still going to choose the Bills over them. So that's already two teams. And in their own division, I mean, the Steelers are still there, but where are you
I
going to get
don't
out the
know, man.
Steelers if Lamar Jackson? And it all depends on Lamar Jackson whether if he stays in Baltimore or not. That's the
Oh,
real question right there. So I think a wild card for me is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals.
I think you're sleeping on the Bengals. What the Bengals are doing even today, they look like they could be a team that's sustained success. They went to the second year with Joe Burrow.
Yeah, we
They
went to
went
the
to the
Super
Super
Bowl.
Bowl.
All right.
This year they're still competing, Eric. They're playoff bound. They just beat the Kansas City Chiefs, which to me looks like the most dominant team in the NFL.
For sure, but now you're gonna add into the mix. You'll probably add Miami into the mix now, probably for the next 3, 4, 5 years, right? That may change in a couple of years. You add whatever you add for Baltimore with the Ravens. Obviously, you're gonna have Patrick Mahomes for the next 10, Josh Allen for the next 10. Um, who else am I missing? I think that's pretty much it. So it's kind of like, to me, average is like, yeah, you make it to the playoffs, but then you don't make it after the first game. You're out of the first game. So that to me, that's why I'm considering average. And look,
Sure.
you're not gonna like this one from CP either, but he said the Chargers will forever be average to him.
Wow. Who I slept on, who I didn't say will be bad in the next 5 years? Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady's not going to be there in the next 5 years.
But you know
That
what?
team's
The
going to be rebuilding by then.
You're absolutely right, but at least with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you have something to build on with draft picks in the future. So it just depends on the way how they draft.
All right. Go ahead. What else? CP says, I think Russ got 2 more years left in him before the ship. Yeah, but this is the next 5 years, CP. I think in 5 years he'd be gone. Denver Broncos will be better off without him. And then he says
Seattle's a quarterback
QB.
away. Of course, they need to rebuild that terrible defense, and they have the picks and cap space to do so. They'll be back in the top of the NFC if they draft the right quarterback, which is true.
Yeah, which is true. All right, next question. Which team in the next 5 years will produce an MVP? I think you and me have the same question. I mean, the same answer.
Justin Fields, baby.
That's right, baby.
Justin
Fields.
The
The Bears, I think, Eric, and you agree, in the next 5 years, we will have an MVP-like season.
We will. I do believe so. Wild card for me. I don't know. I don't know if you're ready for this one, right? But I think the wild card for me, it just depends on this draft. But I want to say, if they get CJ Stroud, if it's the Panthers, I think the Panthers will produce the next quarterback MVP in CJ Stroud.
I don't know about all that.
That's a wild card. That's a super wild card for me right there.
My wild card
for sure.
Justin Fields is number one. Justin Fields is my number one pick. My number two would be Justin Herbert on the Chargers. CP will say he'll be average, but I think Justin Herbert could pull an MVP-like season in the future. We're talking next 5 years. That team's going to get better, and I could see Justin Herbert being an MVP within the next 5 years.
That's a huge reach. Yes, it is. That's a very huge reach, but I'm gonna stick to it. I might be wrong though.
All right.
Again, these are wild cards, so I'm not really too worried. I know for sure the Bears have one in Justin Fields.
The next 5 years, which team will be a contender for that Lombardi Trophy? Which team will be a contender? Not win it, but be a contender. Win is the next question. But in this question, which team would be a contender?
The Dallas Cowboys.
I agree. I think they're a contender this year, to be honest. But that's just me.
Nah, the Philadelphia Eagles, bro. I think the Eagles.
I think that's too easy.
It's way too easy, but I want to say the Cowboys. I like this one, and that is my wild card. But I don't know about all that. Vikings.
I'll give you a better one. To be a contender, the Detroit Lions will be a contender for that Lombardi Trophy.
That's a good one. That's
the way they're going now. I think the Detroit Lions will be a contender for that Lombardi Trophy within the next 5 years. 100%.
I will say wild card. You ready for this wild card? I'll give you a wild card. I'll give you a good wild card, depending how everything goes. The Cleveland Browns.
Look, Deshaun Watson. That team looks like it's worse with him offensively. That offense was literally. I would always check the stats every week whenever I would bet. That offense was as good as the upper echelon teams in the NFL with Jacoby Brissett under center. It is drastically changed. We're talking Broncos level offense with Deshaun Watson. I'm telling you, that layoff or whatever those years he was not playing is hurting this Broncos team. I would bench him.
Yeah, but I mean, you're still getting a top 5 quarterback at the time when he was still playing into your roster. And then obviously what you've seen in Deshaun Watson when he first started playing. I mean, it's not that far of a thing. I think the Cleveland Browns in a couple of years will probably contend if we had the same old Deshaun Watson before the allegations.
How are we reaching? And with what? The Detroit Lions are going to be a contender within the next 5 years.
I don't know, man. I know Jared Goff is there and he's been to a Super Bowl, but again, it's the Detroit Lions at the end of the day, bro. It's like it's hard. It's hard to even say that with a straight face. Like, man, they don't even know if they can
I
rely on
I
Jared Goff
don't.
like that.
I could say it with a straight face. I'm telling you, after seeing Hard Knocks this season,
Man, don't give me hard knocks, bro. Do
look,
not
man,
give me
I'm
hard
just
knocks.
saying that
Don't give
team.
me hard knocks, bro.
I'm giving
Stop.
you Hard Knocks
Stop.
because
Stop.
that team, to me at least, you know, they're a likable team. I would love to see them be a contender.
That's a cute story, bro. That's
Bulls
a cute
are
story.
looks like Bulls are going to overtime.
Overtime. Yeah, I seen that
Yeah.
too right now.
All
He
right,
said, "What type of contender will the Lions be in the wild card?"
they won't be a wild card.
My wild card is the Cleveland.
They're going to
Browns.
win a division in the next 5 years, at least once. At least once.
They'll definitely. I mean, they did it once. They did it twice with Stafford. Of course, they're going to do it. And I think next year will probably be the perfect year for them to do so because you don't know what Bears we're going to get, what
Exactly.
Green Bay Packers we're going to get, and
Yep.
how much of this Vikings success that they had this year will carry on over for next year because Kirk Cousins is the quarterback. So if there's a
Absolutely.
year that NFC or North can be wide open as it can be, is definitely next year, and that could be for the taking for the Lions.
Yep. All right. Which team in the next 5 years, Eric, wins a Super Bowl? I'll go first. I think within the next 5 years, this team every single year is always in the mix, but yeah, they have yet to do it. I think it's the San Francisco 49ers within the next 5 years are going to win a Super Bowl. This team is way too talented.
I don't know.
Way too talented not to. I think within the
is
next
true.
5, it might be next year, but within the next 5 years, I think the 49ers take one at least one. That's
I
my
like that
pick.
one. The Bears will win the North before the Lions will. Ooh, I don't know, CP.
Oh, that's a good
Ooh,
question. I don't think
that's
so.
that's a good one. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, next year is just up for grabs. Next year will probably be the most wildest the NFC North will ever be. You know what? I would say this year for the next 5 years, if Jimmy G didn't get hurt, I think that would have been the route to take. I don't trust Trey Lance as much as y'all do, or if the world does, or the national media does. I really don't, and it was proven week 1 here against the Bears. Obviously, the easiest ones to go are probably the Bills, right? The Chiefs will probably then win that, of course. So, I mean, that's the safe pick. I think the Bills will win one within the next 5 years. They'll probably be that only one that they'll win two. And I'll say that on record right now. You ready for my wild card? I think
Yeah.
you know my answer.
Wait. Who was your first one?
The Bills.
The Bears?
The
The
Bills.
Bills?
The
Oh,
Bills.
yeah, that's easy.
The Bills will be my wild card. The Bills will be my pick for the next 5 years. They're definitely one they'll pick. There you go. My wild card? Ooh. Y'all might hate me for this one. As much as I want to say the Bears, I kind of see the Dallas Cowboys winning one within the next 5 years. I kind of do.
Yeah.
I may be wrong, but again, you want to talk about the talent that the 49ers have. Dallas has that too. The defense is Super Bowl ready is to contend. Quarterback Dak Prescott has to show up. The running game with the two-headed monster with Tony Pollard. What's your name, Tony? What's your name, ZQ? You know, they're there. CeeDee Lamb is shown, and Dalton Schultz as well for the tight end. Like, this team is complete to ruffle some feathers in the NFC with the Dallas Cowboys, right? So maybe the Cowboys will probably squeak one in. CP says that the 49ers time is definitely coming. He said that's not fair to Trey Lance. He played in the monsoon his first game and not giving up on him. Yeah, bro, it's cool. Like, if he was the next best thing, or if he was great, supposedly what they said, and I get the whole learn the system behind the bench off of Jimmy G, blah blah blah, this and that. Let's be completely honest. They weren't completely sold on Trey Lance like everybody says they did. And even though it was the first game in the monsoon here in Chicago, that's still great. I mean, you see him through the ball, but if the field was 40 yards instead of 100, the 49ers would have had a field day against the Bears. I don't believe in Trey Lance how everybody does believe in him.
I also don't believe in Trey Lance, Eric.
It's just something about him. I think they got that draft pick completely wrong in Trey Lance.
I
And then
think
CP says I'm not a big Dak fan, but I can't see the Cowboys winning one with him under center. I can.
I can too.
I can.
But the thing about when I say the 49ers is going to win one in the next 5 years, I don't see it being with Trey Lance under center. I'm sorry. It could be with anybody else. Insert quarterback name there. I don't see it being Trey Lance.
Insert quarterback name here. I'll give you two. Brady or Rodgers.
Or Lamar Jackson. Or Lamar.
No. I don't think Lamar. I don't think
Blow the
Lamar
man.
because if you get Lamar, then you definitely have to get rid of Trey Lance. If you get
Good.
Rodgers
Get rid of Trey Lance. Nobody wants Trey Lance.
right, if you get Rodgers and or Brady, but still keep Trey Lance for him to recover from his ankle injury, I think that's the time to do so.
All right, Eric.
Brock Purdy.
Speaking of Brock Purdy, the Niners play the Seahawks tomorrow. Who do you got?
The Seahawks because they're playing in Seattle. Plain and simple. I do feel that Purdy will definitely feel the tension of being on his first and on the road game. Not only that, a divisional road game up against the 12 up in Seattle. I think the Seahawks will probably win this one comfortably.
I agree with you. I think Seattle takes it. I don't think it's a comfortable win. I think Seattle takes it close win. And the only reason is because they're at home. And that 12th man is.
You're going to see the rookie mistakes.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right. Let's move on to the NBA real quick before we end the show, Eric. The New Orleans Pelicans have been on a tear this season. Zion Williamson is everything you and John said he would be in the beginning of the season. I was a hater. I was sitting here. I don't think this guy's going to be legit, but he is, and this team is legit. Are you? What's the question? Are you shocked or are you surprised that this team is number one in the West?
Surprised that they're number one in the West? Yes. Surprised that they're this good? No. I knew the Pelicans had something in them to be in the contending six, right? Definitely in the contending five. If you have a healthy Zion, and I told you, Mr. Tony Basketball, that Zion, when healthy, is a difference maker, and he is a difference maker, and you can see they're the number one team in the West for a reason, right? Yeah. Can he continue to stay healthy? And I think that's the number one question with Zion Williamson for sure, if he can stay healthy. The Pelicans don't surprise me. They can be a contending team in the West.
That was my next question.
But when you face against the big boys is when we really have to see the show, and I can't wait for the second half of the season on what the New Orleans Pelicans will do.
Absolutely. That was my next question. Do you think they can win it all?
I think this year, it's too soon. I can probably see them make some noise next year for sure if they make the right moves. But this year they'll just be that dark horse team that everybody will fall in love to cause chaos. How I like to say it in the West.
Watching the Chicago Bulls right now, there's overtime. DeMar DeRozan is their closure. I don't care what people are saying when it comes to roles in this team. DeMar DeRozan is that guy because he's the one leading this team. 32 points, and in overtime, he's the one that gets the ball. Zach LaVine right now with the ball passes it to Alex Caruso. Come on, Zach. You're supposed to be the guy who shoots, not passes. But that's just me. Speaking of the Chicago Bulls, the NBA, Eric, is changing the MVP regular season trophy to the Michael Jordan trophy. How do you feel about it?
I don't like it. I mean, have you seen the trophy though? Like, you saw the trophy, right? How it looks?
Is it Jordan flying in the air?
Yeah, it is. I think it's one of his like he's like straight up vertical. Looks like his dick is hanging out of the damn trophy and stuff like that. Like, it just looks bad, bro. Like the trophy just looks ugly. But as an MVP for the regular season, I don't like it. I think there's a lot more deserving players to be named for the MVP trophy. I think we
LeBron James.
No, not LeBron. I want to say more like I know Bill Russell has a trophy named after him. What's the trophy that's named after him?
I think that's the MVP of Finals trophy is Bill Russell.
That it is, right? Yeah, I don't know, man. I just don't like it. For it to be the regular season. No, I mean, if you're talking about Bill Russell as the Finals MVP, then there goes Michael Jordan's name off that list because I prefer it to be in the NBA Finals than it is in the regular season MVP. But even then, so that trophy just looks bad, bro. Oh my god!
I'm okay with it being Jordan. I am. I'm okay with it being Jordan. I am. If there's an alternative, it would be Kobe for me. But I'm okay with it being Jordan.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it being Jordan.
I wonder what Pippen has to say about that. I wonder if there's anything else that comes, anything else for Pippen. You know, since he's like, if it wasn't for him, Jordan would have never won those 6 rings. But you know how Pippen is. He's very bogus.
And we'll see. I mean,
He says so.
definitely
CP goes in the comments says he's not surprised that the West is crazy right now. Oh, something went up. Hold on, give me a second. I know it's there, but there's no consistency from any team, and the Warriors look unorganized. Denver still getting their legs back. No one fears the Suns. I know I don't. They're frauds, and I've been saying it with the point fraud in the guy over there. Pelicans showed some promise towards the end of last year. I'm not surprised in their success. He did say you're right. The Finals MVP is named after Bill Russell, so deservedly respect. He actually sees no issue with Michael Jordan being named after the MVP. He didn't see the trophy though. When you see it, you're gonna laugh at it, and it's gonna be look so disgusting. It's ugly. Trust me. I'm like, that's nasty. That's worse than the Cristiano Ronaldo headshot. If you guys haven't seen that, look that up and then compare the both and see which one's the worst. But he said he preferred Kobe over the MVP, and I that one I probably will lean to a little bit more.
No, you only say that because he passed away. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. You would only say, and say for Bill Russell, you would only keep it as Bill Russell. If it were up to me, I would have Jordan be the MVP Finals trophy because you said it in one of the texts, Eric, that we have in the text message we have together. It makes more sense because Jordan was a Finals champion, undefeated.
Right.
I think you make the Finals MVP Michael Jordan, and I guess you would the regular season MVP Kobe Bryant, but you know it's like
what's the name of the trophy? Isn't it called the Larry O'Brien?
Yeah.
I think you changed that one to the Bill Russell Finals trophy.
There you go. Yeah, just promote him up.
He's the one that won the most, right? With 11 or 12, or however that is.
Exactly. Give Bill Russell the Bill Russell trophy. You know, for the Larry O'Brien, you change it to Bill Russell. The MVP Finals, you change it to Michael Jordan, and make Kobe the regular season MVP. I'm okay with that. Or if you want to name the Derrick Rose MVP, I'm okay with that too. The Derrick Rose MVPs, I'm also okay with that. You know, just throwing it out there.
Stop.
Just throwing it out there. It will be in once in a lifetime. It will be changed to LeBron James, though. I would say that he's gonna get something. Yes, Rose.
No, not Derrick. No, not Rose. Not Rose.
I'm okay with Rose having a trophy here in Chicago. Maybe the comeback player of the year because the dude comes back every single season.
Game. The Bulls just lost. He said don't start, Eric. I'm just being honest, guys. Like I mean,
maybe they just lost that.
We'll say that. We should have like how you know how we used to have unfiltered. We should have that. We should bring that back all over again. Add CP into that one and just go hard with the swearing and just the topics that will hurt everybody here in Chicago.
I would love that. I think it'd be a great idea.
You know, the topic are we overvaluing Derrick Rose just simply because he's from Chicago? Right. Something along those lines, because he's the youngest MVP here in Chicago doesn't mean we have to cater to that man. Because to be honest, he really didn't do anything for the Bulls.
I agree with you, CP. He's lucky that we're ending the show right now. Otherwise, I would let him have it. But
I'm telling you guys, man. I don't know what you guys want me to tell you. He said no Rose hate will be tolerated. It's not.
Why would you give the ball to Patrick Williams to shoot a three? Why would you give the ball to Patrick Williams to shoot a three? What does that do for you?
Absolutely, I'm telling you, it was game.
You have DeMar DeRozan, Vucevic, and Zach LaVine on the floor. Those are your 3 guys. They need to have. Oh my God, this game's over. All right, guys, I'm out of here. You're listening to Jca Sports Podcast.
Thank you all. Sucks ass.
Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening to it. Even if you're not watching it live, you're watching the pre-recorded episode. We appreciate it. Thank you guys. Thank you. Make sure to follow us on all our socials: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And we will be back next Wednesday, the Jca Sports Podcast. Big League Chicago will be back Monday. That's the next time you'll see me, Eric. You will be live Saturday, right?
Yes,
For
I'll be
the
live
AFC
Saturday for the third place game between Croatia and Morocco, and then right after the final on Sunday, between France and Argentina.
There you go. We appreciate you guys.
Yeah. And I mean, look, this Bulls game right now fits on my poster what I wrote. When will I get good teams in Chicago?
Not anytime soon.
Because damn, the Cubs
screwed it for us today.
If they don't get Swanson, man, this is just bad.
It is. All right, man. Well, we appreciate you guys watching once again. Thank you for listening. Make sure to subscribe on our YouTube.
Johnny, thank you, CP. Everybody else that hopped on.
Johnny,
thank you guys very much.
Comments. We appreciate it. And it's time for us to end the show.
Yeah, it is. It is. And like Jose said, make sure you guys follow us on all our social media platforms on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Guys, make sure you hit the little bell and let your friends know about the Jca Sports Podcast and the Star 6 Media production too, as well, with all our other podcasts. Just make sure you guys hit the little bell to get notified when our shows are live. And as always, Jose, hit that outro.
What a finish! Wow, that is unfreaking believable. What a way for a ball game to end.
Oh, that's what happened. Oh, that's terrible. My God. The humanity.
They may be the drunkest couple in the history of sporting events.
I loved his face.
I would suspect that fan is done for the night. Here's the thing. When you steal something, don't wear it.